Hello again. This is Mr. Teal coming at you. Today's September 22nd on Tuesday. This is a video for those individuals who are absent or need additional help. Yesterday we talked about real life situations, looking to change things, to make things easier for them. We hate the word story problems, so we're just kind of changing that mindset. Instead of I hate, I can't do, we're trying to change it to a let's give it a shot. So we talked yesterday about keywords, kind of what to watch for in some of these real life situations. So today's self-start is basically that, just kind of seeing what you guys understand. So I'll give you guys a moment to see if you can determine today's self-start answers, and we'll be right back. And go ahead and hit pause if you haven't already done so. Okay, here we go. So determine whether the following keywords represent a positive or a negative number. Underground 15 feet. So the surface would be considered a 0. So if it's under that, that's going to represent, because of that underground, a negative 15. 50 feet above the water, that's going to be a positive 50. Missed 3 questions, that would be a negative 3. Earned $8, that would be a positive 8. So on the positives, it's okay not to put that plus sign or that positive sign. If you just leave it like that, either way is okay. The word difference means what in math? Hopefully from yesterday, if you watched that video or if you were in school, you remember that difference means to subtract. And what does the keyword and usually mean in math? The word and typically means to add. So hopefully you're okay with those, because here in a moment you'll definitely want to pay attention. So, here's your deep thought for the day. You're welcome to hit pause if you want to go through and read it. As far as classroom info goes, again, don't forget to wear your red on Friday. Mrs. Fawcett's class really trash talking it up. Let's just beat them. Let's just have more people wear red than hers. So today we are doing 2nd and 6th hour win time. It's a great chance for those people that missed a feedback question or to fix some errors. And just a little piece of FYI, your next feedback will be this Friday. And the majority of the feedback will include real life situations. So you have to be comfortable with those keywords that we just discussed in your self-start and some other words. So be aware of that's happening. For today, we've talked about the self-start. We're just going to continue practicing real life situations with addition and subtraction today. So we talked yesterday about drawing pictures, if that helps make sense of it. Watch for keywords. And biggest thing of all is just use your common sense. So that way, if you get an answer and it doesn't make sense, you can think about it and say, well, maybe I should try something different. So that's going to be key to this unit. So to continue on with our addition with real life situations, being a sports nerd that I am, some of these are going to be in sports references, and that's okay. Tiger Woods wanted to know how well he'd done playing golf this year. Here are his scores for the last several games. He went 3 over, 5 under, 7 under, 1 over, and 3 over. We want to figure out what his overall score is. So first thing I'm going to do is look at any keywords in this to try to help me figure out if they're going to be positive or negative. And then I'm going to add them up. So I'll give you guys a moment to do that. Go ahead and hit pause. Okay. So 3 over, over being the keyword. There we go. Over means a positive. 5 under, that word right there, under, represents a negative, so it'd be a negative 5. 7 under, again, that under means a negative. 1 over would be a positive 1, and 3 over would be a positive 3. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add all of these up. So I'm going to have a positive 3, and he went 5 under, so that's a negative 5, and you got a 7 under, and you got a 1 over, and you got a 3 over. So a lot of people will combine their negatives and then their positives. However you choose to do it is great. I'm going to go ahead and do integer chips just for the visualization. So my 3 is a positive, so I'm going to take 3 positives. My 5 is a negative, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I'm going to have 7 negatives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1 more positive, and 3 more positives. There's a 0 pair, there's a 0 pair, there's a 0 pair. Go there, and there. And if I've done correctly, I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negatives. So then we would have an answer of a negative 5. You could say that he is 5 under. Any of those would be okay. So there you go. The next part is kind of what we practiced yesterday, as well as keyword, that keyword being difference. So you're just trying to find the difference between these numbers. So that means subtract. Hopefully you remember that. So I'm just going to take my positive number first and then subtract my negative number. I'm going to take my positive number and then subtract, looks like my negative number. I'm going to take my positive number and subtract my negative number. This one, both of them are negative, so it doesn't really matter which one I use. Hopefully you remember superpowers. The difference between a 10 and a negative 2 would be 12 jumps. Superpower consequence. The difference between 1 and negative 3 would be a 4. Superpower consequence. The difference between 5 and negative 13 would be 18 jumps. Sorry, that should be a positive 18. Let's fix that. So that way, there we go. And the difference between a negative 2 and a negative 8 is 6 jumps. Difficulties there, so my apologies. As far as distance goes, distance is just like difference. So if they want to know the distance between two numbers, it's just like difference between two numbers. The one thing to really watch for is distance can't be negative. You don't say I drove negative 15 miles. You just say you drove 15 miles. So if you get an answer to a distance problem that is negative, one of two things has to happen. Either you have to take the absolute value of the number. As a reminder, absolute value looks like this, where you have two parallel lines, and that just makes it a positive, basically. Or you have to change how the problem was set up. So just kind of be aware of that. We're going to kind of go through some of these problems today. So a high diver jumps from a diving board 15 feet above the ground. I think we covered this one yesterday, so I'm not going to worry too much about this one. But again, watch distance. If you look at keywords above, that would be a positive 15. And let's see, 20 feet deep. That deep would be underwater, so that would be a negative. A miner is digging for gold 10 feet below the surface. He doesn't find any, so he takes the elevator down to 80 feet below the surface. What's the distance he traveled? So I'm going to start looking for some keywords in this to help me set up my problem. So if I look at it, I see a keyword right here, below. So if he's below the ground, that is going to represent a negative, so that's going to be a negative 10. Let's see, I see below again, this time it's 80 feet below, so now I know I'm going to have an negative 80. Now, the one thing to watch for is the distance traveled. We just talked about distance traveled being just like difference, and that means a subtract. So I now have a problem set up of a -10 minus a -80. Hopefully you automatically have realized that because it's a subtraction, we have to use our superpower and we have to use a consequence that follows. So a -10 plus a +80, that's going to give me an answer of a +70. So how many feet he traveled? He traveled 70 feet, basically. Now you could say he traveled 70 feet down. That would be okay too. So there's kind of an overview of what we're doing in class today. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me, and we'll talk to you guys soon.